Hey guys, what's going on? And this is Just Incredible, and you are here with another episode of Just Incredible's Hardcore House Show. And I'm sorry about last week. It was a little crazy, to be honest with you. Excuse me, with the storm and everything, we couldn't broadcast because I got power back. We lost power. For those of you watching outside of the Northeast, we lost power in Connecticut, and I didn't get my power back until Friday. So it was absolutely insane. No power, no heat, no hot water. Absolutely miserable. So anyways, a lot going on. Let's get right to it.
We are now experiencing technical difficulties.
What happened?
Yeah, it crashed.
Oh, I'm still saying live over here.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh, your side is live? Oh, we our site over here to get the questions from you guys have crashed. So keep sending the questions. We'll get that back up and running. But anyways, big week this week. WWE is overseas, and they had a big episode of Monday Night Raw. And last week, I'm looking over here at my notes. The ratings were a little bit disappointing. This week, they drew a 2.88 rating. Didn't help with the big Monday night game of the Chicago Bears against the Philadelphia Eagles. But last week, they drew a 3.1. Well, what for me is most alarming is that the week before they had not the week before, I'm sorry. In the first hour they saw 4.17 million viewers tuning in, and at the second hour they did 3.8 million. So what that systematically usually means, traditionally in wrestling, is every quarter hour you usually see a jump or a rise in the ratings, and it just shows to me and to everybody that right now, it's going the opposite direction. You're getting a certain amount of viewers that are tuning into the shows, and then obviously they show disinterest, and they're not sticking with the program. That shows that they're just not gripping onto the fans, and the people are sitting here clicking the channels, and that's not good. And hopefully WWE does something to remedy it. I mean, we're really getting down to a point of what are they going to do? The alarms aren't being set off yet, but you got to be thinking there's no real competition on Monday nights. It's been your flagship show for well over 15 years now. And to me, it just shows that that fans aren't happy. A couple of hits and misses here. I thought the Kevin Nash promo was really good. It explained Kev's actions on why he did what he did to Triple H, and to kind of explain, why he felt the way he did. He did it, Kevin always cut a good promo, very convincing promo. Always, a little insider, sometimes too insider for me, because a lot of the young kids watching the broadcasts weren't around during the click and don't get what's being said. So, they need to stay away from that, to be honest, because only 10% of the fans really know what Kevin's talking about when he references those things. But that being said, powerful promo, explained his position, why he did what he did. Curious to see where this all leads headed into Survivor Series. Another one of the hits, in my opinion, and a bunch of other people's that I've spoken to that enjoyed, Dolph Ziggler against John Morrison. Dolph, man, I tell you, he's really coming a long way. He's having some fantastic matches. His work is top notch right now, and he's really making any one of his matches fun to watch and a pleasure to watch. He's a bump machine, sells like $1 million, and he's really he's really coming into his own, and he's feeling it. You could just tell that confidence. And the one thing I thought was kind of funny was that the crowd, especially in England, for a match that was pretty damn good, the crowd was really dead. So I don't know if that says something about the superstars involved in that match or whatever, but they were a little dead. Another one of the hits, and I was really glad to see this, is CM Punk as a whole. CM Punk was white hot this summer, heading into SummerSlam and the whole contract thing. He was one of the hottest acts in pro wrestling, period. And they hit a point where, he was kind of, I shouldn't say stale, but it started to fall off and dip a little bit. And last night, it just really proved that CM Punk that they're getting serious about the character again. And I think WWE really understands that CM Punk is a different kind of character. He's an edgy character, against the grain, and it really comes off well when he does it. And it just does show that they're really taking a serious approach with CM Punk heading into Survivor Series, and I think it's going to be very important. Heading into his WWE Championship match against Alberto Del Rio. All right. One of the I always do hits and misses, a la Jason Powell. I got that from him. He's one of the top pro wrestling journalists, and I think that's brilliant. So I kind of rip off of Jason because he's my boy. And anyways, and a lot of times share very similar views on the business. But and that's what I'm talking about, the format, not necessarily his opinion. But one of his opinions and mine were that the overall miss was Raw last night. I thought the show itself, especially for being out of the country, usually when you have a Raw outside of the U.S., it's the crowds are super hot. The matches are just a notch above what you normally would see, and I thought overall the show didn't carry that vibe, that same thing, that special feeling. The crowd was packed. It's not a question of attendance. It was just the feel of the show. It just didn't give it to me as they normally do. And I don't know. I thought one thing that really stuck out on my mind is Rock coming back at Survivor Series, heading into WrestleMania, is probably one of the biggest things in wrestling right now, if not the biggest thing. And heading into Survivor Series, they really need to start hyping up Rock's return. And they should start. I mean, where are the video packages of Rock? Rock's greatest moments. His defining WWE moments, his greatest WWE moments. They have all that wonderful footage. I mean, you could really do video packages all throughout the show, hyping Rock's return. And I haven't seen anything even close to that. Plus, too, you should have other wrestlers, in other skits talking about Rock coming back. So I think they're really missing the boat on Rock's return. I mean, this is your biggest star right now, and that says something actually for the current crop of stars. But no doubt about it that the Rock's return to wrestling is the biggest thing they have going, and I just don't feel they're utilizing it last night. Another thing, and I'm going to get to this quickly, R-Truth and Miz against Cena and Zack Ryder. What concerns me, and Truth and Miz got the win last night, but what concerns me is these guys are heading into a huge, huge main event spot at Survivor Series, and it took Miz and R-Truth doubling up on John Cena to beat him, and quite frankly, Cena kind of laughing at it. It's almost like these two guys heading, they got to, support the main event going into Survivor Series. Aren't, in my opinion, they're not being taken seriously. I look at them and they have all the it's not about talent. They have all the talent in the world, but for some reason, I mean, would you guys as fans put John Cena and Rock in the same category as Miz and R-Truth? Unfortunately, no. And that's really concerning. And there's no way. To me, it's going to be about obviously Cena and Rock, but from a wrestling standpoint, to say Miz, R-Truth against Cena and Rock, they're not going to be able to support their end of the deal. And WWE as a selling point is going to have a real hard time to promote that match and make it a match that people are going to want to see, because I think fans already know there's no way in hell. I mean, how many people really think that Miz and R-Truth are going to come out of there with a win? Obviously it's going to be WWE's formula number one of getting to the Rock Cena main event at WrestleMania through a tag match, sort of like the Mega Powers with Hogan and Savage, and just the same old shit that we've seen a million times. So it's real formula TV, same old fare basically from the WWE. And I don't know, I think they're grasping at straws with this. kind of like I am with this segment. So, anyways, TNA this week. Let's move along. TNA improving this week in the ratings. They did a 1.27 to last week's 1.14. TNA is they're headed in the right direction. They're fiddling with the 1.4s, the 1.5s, and I think right now they have a great opportunity to strike. TNA would really catch the WWE off guard at this point if they could just get their stuff together long enough to plan an attack, maybe steal some talent away. I don't know whose contracts are up. I don't know what's going on in that sense, but if they could really make a play at this point, they would really benefit, because right now I think Monday Night Raw as a program and WWE as a whole is very vulnerable. I was just thinking about this. The attendance record, they did a show in Atlanta at Phillips Arena, and usually that place is rocking for television tapings, and I was told, and some of the reports were out there, that the Phillips Arena was less than half full. Crowds are dwindling here in major U.S. markets, and Atlanta is a hotbed for pro wrestling that barely sees pro wrestling anymore. They used to have wrestling, twice a month in major arenas with television tapings and the old center stage and the Omni. Now to seeing wrestling once every 6 months if they're lucky, and they barely filled half to capacity of the Phillips Arena. So right now, man, the iron is hot for striking, if you will, on TNA's point. They really, if they got their stuff together, they could really compete right now with WWE. On some wrestling news, OVW, Ohio Valley Wrestling, signed a developmental deal with TNA, as everybody I'm sure has heard. And, I think it's a good move for TNA. I think they need to worry about where they're going to get their next crop of stars. But, quite frankly, and I'm beating a dead horse here, before they worry about developmental stars, I think they should worry about phasing out the old stars, because you know what? They could get all the fucking guys right now that they have and, do the same thing, all the developmental stars that they could come up with, and you're still going to have your Stings, your Hogans, your Jarretts, and blah, 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 blah. Guys, do me a favor. Please, do something different. I don't care what it is. Please, this business needs you right now. TNA is the only viable wrestling promotion with anything close to WWE. And they're not even in the same ballpark. If you right now start with a renegade angle, some innovative fucking things, and start pushing, and guys, this is the time. Wrestling needs something, and if it's not done soon, wrestling is going to become, it's going to go down to a level where nobody's going to give a damn. This is the time, and TNA needs to get its act together and really start to develop its own brand and its own identity, and go for it. Now is the time. Because at the end of WrestleMania, Rock's going to be gone. He's not going to come back for a long time. John Cena's a stale act. Undertaker, he's not going to be around anymore after WrestleMania, or until the next WrestleMania. Triple H, what's he going to do? So right now, the iron is hot for striking. And TNA, if they would just utilize what they have and somehow brand themselves, as they did early on, with the X Division and with talented wrestlers, that's the way they need to go. And I'll tell you, this business desperately needs it, because right now I don't see much positive, and it really shows, because wrestling's popularity, I think, is at an all-time low in this era. And if we're going to keep competing with UFC for the entertainment dollar of the fans, if we're going to keep wrestling in general the way it is, we're going to need to do something, because right now it's just not cutting it. I mean, Monday Night Raw, if you've seen one episode of Raw, you've seen them all. And I remember, I'm in the business, mind you. You got to remember, I'm not just a fan sitting there with the remote clicking. I'm a fan first and foremost, and I'm also a wrestler. And I used to be excited, being in ECW, to get home on Mondays from house shows or touring, and I wanted to know what was on Raw. I wanted to know what was on Nitro. I mean, it mattered. Now it's like I'll barely look at the results. If I didn't do this show, I wouldn't even look at the show. Last night it pained me. It pained me to go through Raw and watch 2 hours of that. I was like, dude, this is fucking garbage. And I'm a wrestling fan. I'm not saying this to down WWE or to diss the WWE or to diss TNA. But if I'm a wrestling fan and it's paining me to watch this garbage, could you imagine people that aren't fans or aren't like us? They're not on the internet watching Justin Credible's Hardcore House Show, or they're not, watching other internet wrestling shows, or they're not tuning in to certain, newsletters or wrestling websites. If they're just regular guys who used to like wrestling, they're kind of clicking around and saying, hey, and they're trying to give it a chance, and then they just say, fuck this, why am I watching this garbage? No wonder I stopped watching it. This shit's corny. And that's what we've become. We went from being hip, edgy, badass, everybody water cooler talk. We went from that to, not even giving it a second thought. So to me, that's enough of my rant. I got a lot of rants for you this week, believe me. But that's how I feel, and I really think right now TNA has a great opportunity, and it's pretty much all on TNA and WWE that I have to say. My indie spotlight of the week, and this is going to be another rant. Indie spotlight of the week, if you guys who aren't familiar to the format of the show, is where I take a wrestling promotion, an upstart wrestling promotion, or an independent somewhere, obviously in the U.S., and we discuss it, we talk about it, we give it a little bit of publicity, we mention some of the guys. But this week, my indie spotlight is none. And why? The reason I say none is I had a really, really negative experiences with indies lately. Not singling anybody out in particularly, but right now, unfortunately, my career is at a crossroads. If you guys, that have been following me, where unfortunately all I have are, independent wrestling. And more indie promotions are, quite frankly, disgusting. You go out there with the hope of wrestling in front of fans who like to see good wrestling, who pay to be entertained in what we do. And there's so many promoters out there. I get to shows, and shows are poorly promoted. Shows are, bad organization, bad booking, 10 people in the audience. It's heartbreaking for me as a performer. And as an indie fan, what that does is, it puts a bad taste in their mouth. If they are the one or two fans that did pay to see it that night, they're sitting in an empty arena. Like, why am I the jerk that paid to come sit here? They feel like they're the jabrones because they paid to be at this nothing happening event. Guys, if you're listening out there, if you're part of an indie promotion, or if you are in any way, shape, or form into indie wrestling, we need to do better. As promoters, as the boys, we need to make indie wrestling what it used to be. This has to become a business. I see too many indie promotions, just fantasy football leagues or glorified backyard federations, guys. We're guys that get rings from high spots, who are, will pay $3,000, they get a ring, and all of a sudden they think they're promoters. So what do? They book all of their friends, guys who have no training, guys who have no business being in the ring, and they'll bring them out, and they'll parade them in and out of the ring. Guys, it's not pro wrestling. Back then, there were legitimate old school promoters promoting superstars, guys that could wrestle, and there would be 500-600 people out in the crowd. That's an indie show. I don't care if I'm in a high school gym, but I want somewhere to perform. And when I go out there in crappy arenas in front of 5 people, 6 people, and believe me, it's happened recently. It's heartbreaking to me. It's heartbreaking to real wrestling fans that'll go out to these things, and it gives indie wrestling a bad name. We need to go back to indie wrestling that matters. That's the core of this business, and we need to start promoting. If you guys are going to put on wrestling shows, then put on a wrestling show. Go out there and do the work. You know, don't go out there and depend on selling tickets. You know, that's the gimmick nowadays. There'll be 30 matches on the card, and you know what? You'll get a match on the card if you sell 10 or 15 tickets. Guys, that's bullshit. I know it's a free, you know, we live in America, you could do whatever you want, free enterprise, but it gives pro wrestling a bad name. We have to have pride in this business. We, the wrestlers, we the boys, have to take this business back over, and there's no room for, you know, backyard wrestling disguised as an indie promotion. So we got to get out of that. We got to bring indie wrestling back to the forefront, because you know what? I may never get a chance to go back to WWE. I may never get a chance to go back to TNA. But you know what? Indie wrestling should be a viable and quite frankly, a fruitful way to still enjoy what I'm passionate about. And wrestling in front of 10 people at some VFW hall ain't cutting it. You know, if you're going to do a show, guys, do a show. If you're going to promote, promote. Put on a good show. Get good wrestlers. Don't just book your buddies. Don't have, you know, I'm going to put you on the show if you sell 15 tickets. Don't take the cheap way out. You're cheapening what we do, what some of us have broken our backs for 20 years to accomplish. We're going backwards, guys, instead of forward. The UFC, mixed martial arts, all that stuff's biting and creeping right up our asses. We need to take pride in this business again. We need to do pro wrestling again. Not this bullshit we call indie wrestling, sports entertainment. We all have a part in this. And if you're part of an indie group and you see this shit going on, do your part. Don't be afraid. When I used to work for Mike Milano, God rest his soul, at DPW in Waterbury, Connecticut. And I knew Mike was having a hard time, and he had a show on Saturday. And I was the biggest star on the bill. I'm talking 2009. Justin Credible and his wife, who had no business doing this, would go out and hand out flyers to try to help. If you think you could help in any way, shape, or form, go out there and do it. Work with your promoters. Many hands lighten the loads, guys. I just have been having such a despicable experience.
You're getting huge props on what you're saying right now.
Well, I just have had such a bad experience with indies lately that it really bothers me, because I truly want to see indie wrestling flourish. Like I said, I may never get a chance to work for Vince again. I may never get a chance to work for TNA again. And indie wrestling, if that's the only way I could do what I love to do, I want to make it count. And I think everybody out there should want to make it count and just be a part of it. Take part. Don't wait for somebody to give you, you know, oh, go do this or go do that. Take it upon yourselves, guys. And that's pretty much my rant. Like I said, I'm not singling anybody out or any promotion. This is just, unfortunately, a lot of them that I've seen throughout the last couple of months. And nothing against anybody. Let's just make it work, guys. There's no excuse. I'm just sick and tired of showing up. Oh, yeah, this show's going to draw 200 people. And I'm literally, and I'm not exaggerating, wrestling in front of 10. You know, and regardless if you get paid or not, it's about pride. It's about doing what you love to do. I want to perform in front of a crowd. You know, I'm not doing this just for money, even though this is how I make my living, and it does help. I want to be able to do this because I love the business. So let's take some questions. I want to rock some questions out, dude.
Just let the guys know that if they don't, well, I'll say it.
Yeah.
You know, if I don't get your questions to you, let me know a second time, because we're having a
little bit of a problem.
We're going off an iPad right now because our computer's crashing.
Okay. Well, we're having a problem with our computer with some parts.
The site, because I'm getting the same thing on like 3 different computers.
Right. Well, I'm gonna. You know what? I wasn't gonna do this, Dean, but I'm gonna do it now.
I'm getting questions now, but if you want.
Okay. Let's hit the right topic up now. We're gonna hit this topic up because we're right on it. Let's go ahead. And then we'll hit our Twitter questions.
What's your greatest memory in wrestling ever?
Greatest memory in wrestling ever? There's a lot of them, but I would just say, because it meant so much to me, was winning the ECW world title at the ECW arena. You know, just, you know, the fact that it's the world heavyweight title, and it's at the ECW arena, one of the buildings. That's meant you know, more than anything. It's my Madison Square Garden, so definitely that.
Then, is it true that there's a ton of indie feds who are just workers who are trying to put themselves over?
Oh yeah,
You and I have talked about this
a
up
million
and
times.
down the road.
Yeah,
You know, I mean, in 3 months, I think this is probably what's come up most
more
in
than
our
anything.
conversations.
Yeah,
Every single show you go to,
yeah,
the promoter is a worker
yeah,
on the card,
yeah.
putting themselves in the main event.
Putting themselves, and I don't mind that, you know, because you unfortunately nowadays you kind of, you know, a lot of people that are promoting shows, that's the only shows they wrestle on, and I'm not against people promoting shows, but if you're gonna do it right, you know. If you're gonna be a promoter of a show, don't make it your you know, I almost feel like I said, it's their backyard wrestling federation. Remember, guys, we're in the business of promoting wrestling. And wrestling, in essence, is entertainment, and it's an art. And if you're just sitting there and doing it to mark out for yourself or to do it for your own selfish needs, you're bastardizing it. Back in the day, if you weren't affiliated with an NWA or a Florida Championship Wrestling or a World Class, you were considered outlaws. You didn't work for outlaws. You worked in a territory. You worked for USWA or Continental, you know, so those were considered outlaw promoters. Nowadays, anybody with a ring from High Spots is considered a wrestling promoter. And, you know, we really got to try to differentiate the two. You know, I would say, guys, you know, if you're having a hard time as fans finding good indies to go to reputable ones. Go to promoters that have been around a long time, that have a name for themselves. Don't be fooled by fancy names and this one and that one, you know, because unfortunately too many fans are getting bad taste in their mouth by crappy promotions, and then they'll never go back unless it's WWE. You know, and it kills it for the fans, and it kills it for real promoters and real wrestlers. So, you know.
Got a couple questions coming out. Or do you think that there's any feds out there that actually do it correctly?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. FTW in Long Island, they do a great job. They do a really good job. Mike O'Brien's NEW, even though I personally don't like him very much, and he kind of gives me a hard time, but he does it right. Terry Allen, well, again, somebody I don't get along with, but does a good job. So it's not even, I'm not even being biased. I'm you know, talking about promotions that I know that do a good job in promoting. And those are a couple right off the bat that do it. And you know, and there's many others, but those are just a couple right off the top of my head that run consistently that I could think of. Joey Bricko, CTWE, he runs a pretty legitimate operation out in Bethany, Connecticut. You know, but I'm sure there's more all across the country. We're just talking about the Northeast. Yeah, Shakira, you know, obviously Dragon's Gate, you know, Ring of Honor, but those are a little bit more mainstream. But there's so many good ones out there. It's just unfortunately there's more bad than good. You know.
Where's Sid right now?
Sid, he's in West Memphis, Arkansas.
Is he working?
When I talked to Scott Hall last week, he actually mentioned Sid coming out to Florida to do some stuff on an indie show that he's going to go visit Scott. So no, Sid's not working physically, but he's doing like autographs and appearances. He's doing the convention circuit, from what I understand. So.
How was CZW to work for?
Combat Zone was it was okay. The night I was there was at the ECW arena. I worked a 6-man. You know, decent stuff. It was a straight up wrestling match.
We've
so.
actually had some contact with
yeah,
recently.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who own run CCW.
Yeah, I'm not familiar really with what they draw anymore, but you know, do they still run the Philly market?
Yeah, they're still doing Philly.
They still do the arena?
A lot of the arena, yeah.
Really? And what do they draw?
You know, I haven't seen any numbers recently.
Any numbers? I'd be curious to see that.
Decent.
Yeah.
Because of that crowd.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, but like they're saying here, you know, CZW is just very violent.
Yeah.
You know, it's like watching a Saw
Yeah.
You
Well,
know.
I'm not a big fan of. Never have been. So.
Wait, I thought I told you I booked you in a match
Yeah.
with DJ
Yeah.
on an exploding light
Yeah.
bulb scaffold piranha match
Yeah. Anyways, next
for
question.
$50.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing anything right now. Oh, do you think Nash can still go?
Honestly, guys, I don't. I'd like to say that he could. I just know that Kev's older. Kev's almost, he's got to be 55, if not a little older than that. I knew he had knee problems back when he was in his late 20s. So I would just like to think that Kev's got to be hurting, and I think he could do some stuff to a limited capacity. But being able to go in a straight up wrestlers match, give me 15, 20 minutes without gimmicks, absolutely not. So I'm gonna get to during the week we took some questions from Twitter, and I'm gonna hit those up. I have it right here on my phone, and since we don't have too many coming up.
Oh, they're coming up now.
Oh, they're coming up now. All right. Well, I'll get to a couple of my Twitter questions. Tom Johnson, do you think TNA brought the ECW wrestlers in because that's what they were aiming for? Do you think that's what would attract an audience or would attract the audience? Well, obviously, TNA brought the ECW guys in to pop a buy rate. They had recently brought in Tommy Dreamer, and Rob Van Dam was there, and they had some stuff going on. So absolutely, look, guys, let me, you could say what you will, and all the wrestling media and everybody had something negative to say about the revival, another reunion, whatever, about ECW. But yeah, it popped a buy rate, and if you guys remember that it was the number one rated or the number one pay-per-view buy rate wise of the year for TNA. I don't know by how much, but it was certainly between 25 and 35,000 buys for TNA for Hardcore Justice 2010. Now, of course, they knew it was going to pop a buy rate just out of curiosity factor, just out of namesake alone. Unfortunately, they bastardized it. Most of the guys that they brought in were not in shape to go, and just didn't. It just was, they had a fake blue meanie, just a bunch of bullshit. They really tried to. Their heart was in the right place to try to manipulate and get. Look, they were just trying to replicate ECW without it being ECW. It was a cheap imitation. It was a poor man's version of ECW. They would have been able to pull it off if they would have kept the true feel of it. They just, they had me wrestling Stevie Richards. I mean, Stevie's a good worker. He's in tremendous shape. I enjoyed it. I had a decent match with Stevie. But, it's not what you would have Just Incredible doing, when you got, and other guys like, Simon Diamond on the card who hadn't wrestled in years. Other guys that were just plainly and completely out of shape. And other guys didn't want to be part of it. Shane Douglas didn't want to be part of it because they slapped him in the face with their offer. They offered him $500. And you know what? I would have said hell no to that too. You know what I mean? So it's just their heart was in the right place. They wanted to get a buy rate. I think they wanted to do good by the legacy because Dreamer was at the helm, and I know Tom wouldn't bastardize the legacy of ECW. But, on something like that, without Paul Heyman, it will never truly be ECW, and that's where they missed it. The true spirit of ECW is with Paul Heyman, and unless Paul is part of the project, you could have as many reunions as you want. It'll never be that original feeling. So I'll go to one more quick Twitter question while we're at it. Julian Cannon. Hey, Julian, what's going on? What is The Rock like backstage? Very simple question and very simple answer. What you see is what you get. Rock has always been larger than life. The Rock is cool as hell. I mean, he is. I went and did karaoke with him one night. It was me, Jericho, Rock, and Pat Patterson. And Pat Patterson sang Frank Sinatra's "My Way." Jericho did I think he did Judas Priest or something like that. He did a metal song. I did Kid Rock, and The Rock did Devil Went Down to Georgia. And I know it might sound like Devil Went Down to Georgia. What the hell is that? But I'll tell you, Rock stood there, in Montreal, mind you, Montreal, Canada, and he just did the whole song, but as The Rock, like ad-libbing lyrics after lyric after lyric, like spitting, just freestyling stuff that The Rock would say, and he was amazing. But that's him. That's who Dwayne Johnson is. It's Dwayne Johnson. The Rock is Dwayne Johnson amped up 10 times. So that's pretty much what I could say, Julian. Is what you see is what you get. So
That's crazy.
yeah.
So he's just always like that?
Yeah. Maybe not always his hype, but he's always sharp. He's always witty. I got this one question. Red Kisses 85 on Twitter. She's a cool chick from the Texas area. I'm not sure if she's from Dallas, but we talk on Twitter once in a while, and I had to put her over here. Her question is, The Miz, do you think he's paid his dues? And wait, do you think he paid his dues to be where he is? Yeah, you know what? I do think that Miz has paid his dues. I was there when he was first there, after MTV's Real World, and I'll tell you what, Mike he's endured a lot more than people realize. He was shit on, literally sometimes, literally, made fun of.
Want to tell that story?
No. My little daughter's here. Come here, Jenna. I wanted you to say hi to the fans. I got my little daughter here, by the way. Say hi.
Hi.
Hi. That's my 7-year-old beautiful daughter, Jenna Marie. But we're not going to talk about anything further. But no, he's really paid his dues, and he deserves to be where he is. He's worked really hard, and Mike deserves it. He's actually turned into a real fine worker and a good entertainer, and he should be very proud of himself, because he's definitely top 10 in this business right now. So yeah, I think Miz is definitely deserving, and he's one of the hardest working guys in the WWE, and I know I'm not the only one that thinks so. So let's get some questions from the internet folk.
We got some questions here.
Let's go.
At the TNA Hardcore reunion,
Justice?
Yeah. Was Molyneux there?
Jim Molyneux?
Yeah.
I believe he was.
And
I might be wrong about that. There's a lot of people.
I'm going to piggyback and ask a question. Do you think there's any room in the industry right now for more or another set of ECW reunion shows?
I don't think so. I know where you're going with that, Dean. And I personally don't think that I don't know, the buzz isn't right. Something's just, it's been bastardized so much that I don't see it. I do see it happening at some point, but it would have to be done right. I would really, it'll be something that'll always be done. I think you'll get a set of ECW reunion shows every so often, but I don't see it happening right now. I think the buzz around the business, unless it was going to be something so nasty that it would restart the wrestling business. I think certain guys would have to step up. You see, the core group of ECW guys are either gone, dead, or washed up. And to keep bringing that back is really tarnishing the legacy. And for the few guys that are still around, you'd have to make sure everybody showed up mentally, physically.
I need to cut you off for a second.
Yeah.
I just want you to know that the reason we're having problems right now is because you're so overloaded.
Okay.
That it's ridiculous.
All right. Okay.
I just got a message from Apple saying that you're so overloaded that I can't get onto the site.
Okay. Overloaded with viewers?
I guess so.
Anyways. Okay. But I just think we've bastardized it so much that the people that can still do it need to show up and do it. The stars would really have to align perfectly. I think everybody that is good, that was good, could still show up and do it today. We would need the Lance Storms. We would need all of the top dogs to show up. I think Raven could still do it if he wanted to. Dreamer could still do it if he wanted to. The Dudleys, Shane Douglas, Myself, obviously, Van Dam could, Jerry Lynn could, but all of us would have to go and want to do it and make it count. But I wouldn't want to be part of anything if it wasn't done right and if Heyman wasn't a part of it. Because we can't keep doing it just for the sake of doing it. It's tarnishing the entire gimmick. So, all right, guys, we got 15 minutes left to go on the show. Let's try to round this thing up.
What kind of match would you want to have with Ric Flair?
What kind of match?
Yep.
I would like to go 60 minutes with the Nature Boy.
Wow.
Yeah. How could you not? I'm not talking about Ric Flair today. Although I don't doubt that
I think
Flair
you could go 60 minutes.
could go 60 minutes. I'm not saying it probably wouldn't be pretty, but Flair could still go 60 minutes. Cardiovascular, he could probably still go.
Mm-hmm.
But if I could take Ric Flair in his prime, I would love to go 60 minutes with him. I mean, because that would just test me. We obviously don't have to test Flair because we all know he's the greatest of all time. But it would test me as a performer to be able to hang with them. So it'd be the ultimate test for me.
I'm sorry, just when you say the greatest of all time, I just think of my times with Nate and
Yeah.
on the road.
Woo!
Exactly.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's get some more questions here, guys.
I missed one of the people in this question because I have to type basically right now. I'm typing down the questions.
Yeah.
But Raven, Franchise, and Axel, who would you most want to go with?
Raven, Franchise, and Axel?
Yep.
In the ring?
Yep.
Oh, Franchise. Shane Douglas, absolutely. No doubt.
What's his claim on that point?
He's good. Shane could go. Shane's a great worker, and I think Shane, if he's on, is as good as anybody. I've had one of my best matches in my career with Shane Douglas, ECW Arena, 99, I believe, summer of '99. One of the 4 stars, easy. And Shane's a monster when he wants to, and I've wrestled him as recent as last year, and he was still able to go. So I'd say definitely Shane Douglas, no doubt.
If you went 60 minutes, you'd be God.
It's not easy. That's what I'm saying. It would be a test.
And Flair would bleed before the bell rang.
Probably.
How was it to work with Sasaki?
It was good. It was really good.
That,
Yeah, I mean, it's okay stuff. Nothing great. I did a match with him in Queens. I pinned him in Queens at the Elks Lodge, and I beat him at the ECW Arena and stole his mask. The matches were okay. Nothing's to write home about, but he was a legend. He had injured knees at the time, so we really had to be cautionary of his knees. But they were good matches, decent matches.
Molyneux's on, by the way.
Hey, Jimmy. What's up, buddy?
He says that Jerry versus PJ were some of the best and easiest matches to rep. They worked so well together. I had the best seat in the house.
Well, thank you, Jim. That's very kind of you. We had some good times, Jim, doing those matches. You remember, dude? We were easy as hell. We just we went out there and we just did it. It was fun. It was effortless. We'd rib each other all the time. If you have anything that you remember about how Jerry and I used to work in the ring, but we were out there. We'd always include you, always ribbing each other back and forth, very laid back. And sometimes people get the wrong idea of what ECW was, but you being in the mix and always in the action, you could tell that, we really had a good time in the ring, and we prided ourselves in work rate too, not just necessarily the crazy hardcore stuff. And obviously, you mentioning Jerry and I, you knew what that was about, and you were right there in the thick of things. So, we work you a lot though, because we always had you, down with the false finishes one after the other. So I know we worked your ass good. So, and thank you for coming on, dude, and watching. It's always a pleasure, dude.
He said yellow card over the hand chops.
Oh yeah, that's right. We used to, in football, not football, but soccer. I call it football because I'm Portuguese. You'd have the cards for penalties and stuff. If Jerry would do an overhand chop, that's considered a penalty. So it's hurt. So Molyneux, we'd take the cards out, yellow card, and then that's the first warning, and the second warning you'd get a red card. So very good, Jim.
Yeah, I got a bunch of great questions coming in now, Paige. There's two questions back to back. As the Impact players
Yep.
with Lance,
Yeah.
what team would you really like to work with? Second part of that question now.
Yeah.
As a singles wrestler, is there anyone who's passed on
That
you would have loved to work with? I know the answer to the second one already.
Tag team. It's hard. I would probably say the Rockers, the Midnight Express. A Midnight Express with Stan Lane, though. I liked Stan Lane. And somebody who's passed on, I'd say Kurt Hennig. Mr. Perfect.
I knew the answer.
Yeah, Mr. Perfect.
Initially, my thought on that was going to be Candido.
No, I worked with Chris a lot. Nothing against Chris, God rest his soul. But we had so many matches. Kurt, I only wrestled once, so before.
Did you ever have the chance to be in the production room while Paul was editing Hardcore TV?
Production room. In ECW?
Yeah.
Oh, it was, yeah. Oh, God. Yeah.
Well, here's the... explain what that was like.
It was just a studio. It was in Ron Buffone's basement. And we had a board, a studio, with knobs and monitors and just, a lot of smoking weed, a lot of pot, and a lot of, 4 in-the-morning Chinese food. No, we didn't drink. We just ate, smoked pot, and edited and laughed at people most of the time.
and that was on the high end of it.
Yes, and that was on the high end of it.
Before that, it was done in Paul's mother's house.
No, it was always at Ron's.
Was it?
It was always at Ron's. That was just a myth. That was a myth. All right, we'll take one more question, then we're going to wrap this up.
You know what? I really don't have anything right here right now.
All right.
Wait, hold on. I'm sorry. Now all of a sudden everything's working fine.
Okay.
Would you ever want to wrestle against Rey Mysterio?
No. Nothing against Ray. I'm sure I would love to. I'm sure I'd have a great match with Ray. But no, I never thought about it. He's a very different kind of style, and not necessarily lucha. Is not necessarily a style that I'm a huge fan of. So it wouldn't be somebody that I'd necessarily always think of. That wouldn't be my first choice. Put it that way. But Ray would be, somebody that I would like to work with. He's one of the best in the world. But no, it's not somebody that always, would strike me first. But believe me, nothing against him because, like I said, he's one of the best ever. So just my style necessarily doesn't translate well to lucha. So reason I said that. But anyways, guys, it was fun. I struggled through the first half of the show because, quite frankly, just, I'm a little out of practice. I didn't do this for 10 days. We missed last week due to the crazy, crazy storm.
And
but
unfortunately,
and power.
Unfortunately, we're going to be going another 10 days right
now.
Yeah,
my producer, Dean Wentworth, is going out of town, so we're not going to be doing this for another 10 days. But when we return, we will have a ton of stuff, and we'll have some new features that me and the guys from Ringside Relations, Timmy and Doug out in Chicago, are going to be working with, and Dean's going to be working with. So right now, let me give you a quick list of plugs. If you're not following me on Twitter, do so right now. That's twitter.com/PJ My Facebook, facebook.com RealJustIncredible. Also, very importantly, because we're going to be putting out all new kinds of content, that's youtube.com/RealJustIncredible. Please look for that. That's going to be off the chain.
And please click on it 2,000 times.
Yeah,
each,
please, guys.
Because we get paid for it now.
Go to the site, click on the videos, check it out. It's going to be, the more you click on the videos, the more content we'll put on there, more original content. We're going to be doing all kinds of different productions. And next show, I'll tell you, we got a lot of exciting news, a lot of big things happening. And we just hope you'll join us. Again, sorry for last week, and we'll be seeing you not this Thursday coming up, but the following Thursday in 10 days, regular time, 7 p.m. Eastern, right here. Oh, Also, real quick, the Tell 5 campaign. For all you guys that watch the show, that enjoy the show, go out there and tell 5 of your friends. You know, because we're really trying to spread the word of the resurrection of Just Incredible. We're really trying to get everybody to get out there. And if you enjoy the show, if you like this interactive deal, if you want it changed, any kind of thing that you want to add to it, please tell 5 of your friends and tell them to tell 5. If we get everybody doing this, it'll work, and we'll get more people coming on. The more people coming on, the better questions, the better content, more sharing, and you know, the bigger it'll be for everybody, and which means more quality of product, more shows, more good times. Thank you guys very much. That's not just the coolest, that's not just the best. That, my friends, is just incredible. See you in 10. Peace.